So today on Idiots Go Running, we have Kat. Say hello, Kat.
Hey, boys.
On our show, we've got a guest who likes to run. Do they really? Do they jog around the place just for fun? That's not fun. Are they a professional athlete? Nope. Lining at the start with the elite. It don't matter. We've got a guest on our show because we asked and they didn't say no. It don't matter because our show has a guest. It does. Pretty much because we asked and they said yes.
So, Kat, how are you?
I'm good. Coming down off the high of one big goal and looking around for the next stupid idea. So taking all suggestions at this point in time.
Class. So you just said you coming down from a high of something stupid. Tell us about it. What have you been up to? What's your background story? Tell us a wee bit about you because nobody knows about you on the show.
Yeah, so I'm a Kiwi originally, living in Australia for the last nearly 15 years. Dabbled in various different sports all my life, mostly water sports. I'm very much a water baby and not at all a natural runner, so a complete fraud on the show. But in the last couple of years, I've set myself a bit of a goal of off-road triathlon because in my style, how hard can it be? Anyone can mountain bike, any idiot can run, and I'm a pretty good swimmer. So I found out that there was a world championships for that, and I thought, well, sure, we'll have a crack, won't we? So for the last 2 years, I've sort of set the goal of qualifying for the Australian team and getting to world champs. So that was just a few weeks ago was the big dance at world championships. So it was a stretch goal for me to qualify and compete, and very much was going in there, for the participation Weet-Bix medal, definitely not competing for the win in my mind. But it was a big achievement to do something that I don't come from the background of. I'm not a natural runner at all. So it was sort of do really well in the swim, have a blast on the bike, and survive the run leg to the finish line. And then there's lunch. That's the sport.
And then the food's the main thing. What did you eat? Everyone heard that you done really well, but what did you have after?
I went and had Mexican. What could possibly go wrong? So yeah, there was Mexican and a couple of wines, and the story.
Wow, that's amazing. So getting back to the triathlon, you are strong swimmer, decent cyclist, and the running thing, because I read a book by Rich Roll, and he was saying, now quote me if I'm wrong, was triathlon created to find the best athlete across all events?
There are lots of origin stories, some truer than others, but certainly some triathlon events were sort of established of people trying to sort out who was the fastest, strongest, best athlete. And, some of those are groups of mates having a beer and then going, well, I could go faster than you over X, Y, Z. That's how the Ironman one got started. They took a regular triathlon and thought, oh, well, let's go bigger and better. Certainly it's a very, it's a sport that now to do well in, you can't be bad at anything. You can't have a weak leg, really. You have to be excellent. And what's amazing is watching some of the elite level triathletes. They're running marathon times that would be top 5% of just a marathon field, and they're running that after 180 kilometer bike ride. It's quite incredible. So
it is incredible. And how did that finish up? How did your triathlon finish up, and where were you placed? If you don't mind saying, if you don't want to say, just say I had a great race.
I have learned over the years that the hardest bit is getting to the start line. As an amateur athlete, between work and injuries and illness and life and in general. So your first win is getting to that start line. And I try not to go in with too many place expectations, because particularly the off-road stuff, there's so many variables that you can't control on the day. And I'm a type A control freak. So if I can't control it, I'm really quite anxious about it. Between whether mechanical events with your bike, crashes, flat tires, anything can happen. You can just have bad legs on a day. So my goal was to get to the end of the race knowing that I could not have given 1 ounce more of effort. Like that was it. I was cooked. I was done. And whether that got me first or last, I would be delighted. with that as an outcome. So my finish line photos confirm that I was absolutely done. It's the ugliest photo I've ever seen. But I came third. So I was I was well chuffed with that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was third in my age group, so not third of the overall field, but we'll take it. It had a bronze medal attached, and the girls that were in front of me were so far in front, they might as well have been on the previous day. So there was no regret margin, no wondering, should I have put my socks on faster? It was good.
Yeah, but I suppose that's the way the triathlon works. It isn't like a marathon or a 5K or a 10K where it's seconds apart.
Yeah, so it can be won by seconds. I mean, in some of the fields, and that depends on the distance, but also the terrain. So on the road events, there's you can have the top three separated by seconds, whereas the off-road stuff, it tends to be a little bit harder to hold on the wheel if the terrain is technical and things like that. But you'll get sprint finishes all the way down the top 10. People absolutely killing themselves for 7th versus 8th. So it's a sport for very competitive people.
Yeah, I'll not be taking that sport up, and dare say my co-host Andrew, who's not here today, will not be taking that up because he's there for the food and for the fun and for the adventure for any event. And he doesn't train. He doesn't even go in like feeling like he's trained anything. He goes in with 100% rest days. He
might be one of those people that goes in with 100% rest days and still does quite well. And that would be really quite annoying.
Yeah, he is. He has all these ideas and he reads all these books, and his training consists of going on YouTube, watching YouTube videos about 100-mile races and turning up to the starting line and finishing it. And I think it's fair to say he finished it without a blister. Now, not blistering time, but he sauntered his way through a 100-mile race as if it was normal without training.
And as if the people around him that had trained their guts out to do the same thing were just not there. Yeah. So I would find that they're punishable by death. If it's my brother.
Okay. Yeah, well, I would like him to come on another event with me. So if I was to kill him, that could probably kill off the show at the same time.
Yeah, look, it's not a great business strategy, but it might be micro-satisfying. I'm going to guess he wouldn't take up triathlon because you two probably swim like Irishmen, which is like rocks.
I do you know what? I've seen a rock swim and it's quite impressive. I'm not a strong swimmer as much as I would love to get into swimming. We don't have access to. I've looked at your Instagram, Kat, and I've looked, and if I had water, if I had scenery like that, I would be out in the water all day long. Because the water's blue and it's nice and it's sunny, and you know what our weather's like here. Because I think, did you visit here not so long ago?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. My husband is Irish, so we do the tour of duty every now and then, and I get motivated and go, yep, I'm going to jump in the Irish Sea, and it usually gets up to about my ankles, and that's the end of that.
That's as far as you go. I'm sorry to hear about your husband being Irish. Is he okay?
He's kind of, yeah, look, he's, he'd have got shorter for murder at this point, but he's coped with me for nearly 16 years, so, he could have done much worse.
Oh, very good. And you touched on your next crazy event, and you talked about an Ironman. Is an Ironman on the cards?
Absolutely not. No.
Why not? Why not?
The run primarily. I joke about not being a natural runner, but it's absolutely true. I'm a big, strong girl, so there's a lot of me to move, and my joints don't cope well with volume training on the run. That's been one of the sort of problems I've had the last 6 months probably, has been like struggles with the hip, and that's only in training for a shorter distance triathlon. So Ironman is out for me, which I'm not at all upset about, because the volume of training I'd have to do, I'd probably have to quit my job, or certainly get myself a nanny to kind of take care of all the things I wasn't doing. I have a few friends that do. My coach professionally races Ironman, and even she thought it was a terrible idea. So that's definitely off the table.
Yeah, I try not to listen to coaches because they usually give you advice that you don't want to hear, and coaches just ruin the fun.
We're a terrible two. I think we feed off each other. Actually, she's gone, what else can we do?
Oh, so she gets a high of you doing well.
Absolutely, she's living vicariously because she's doing it as a pro, right? It's her job, so she has to be absolutely militant, perfect, can't miss a training session. Food's got to be good. Her whole life is dialed around performance, whereas I can go in some stupid race and just finish last because I felt like going to it. She has to bring the bacon home. I don't have to care. So she's all about the stupid ideas for me.
And who is your running coach? Are you allowed to name drop? Are you allowed to drop her name on the show?
I think she would absolutely find that hilarious. It's Penny Slater is my triathlon coach. She just had a career best performance in her own world championships a week ago. Came 7th in the pro field in Nice, which is the Ironman World Championships. And she's been an amazing coach. We've worked together for a couple of years now, so. We're like that, and she supports most of my dumb ideas.
So dumb ideas. You still haven't told us. Have you had any idea what's next?
What's on the radar? I've got a couple of events lined up already. I've got one in December. There's your dog.
Yes, there's my dog interrupting the show as usual, Kat.
Bring him on.
I don't think anybody wants to see the dog because
everybody loves a collie. Come on.
Should we see the dog today?
Looking at me. We should see the dog. The dog.
Right, I'll bring the dog on. This is the first official presentation of the dog on the show. Hard launch of the dog. So the first sort of first time a dog's been on the show. Yeah.
Breaking barriers. Look at you go.
So this is Mikey. So Mikey he's not really. Oh, he's trying to talk. Mikey hasn't touched a running scene yet. A bit like yourself, he doesn't like running, and I don't know. He hasn't mentioned about his joints yet.
Well, I'm not chasing cars, so maybe I'm slightly further ahead in my journey than him.
Yeah, you shouldn't chase cars.
Us with the parenting advice: don't chase cars, kids.
Yeah, when you're running, just run down the road. Do not chase the cars. So I've tried telling him that. Unfortunately, he hasn't listened. Kat, what is next? Where were we before we were interrupted by my dog?
Next set of ideas. So I've entered a event in December, which is a swim bike. So the best bits of a triathlon, and then you just run 400 meters to the finish line. So that works perfectly for my skill set and running appetite. So that'll be I haven't done many road events, so that'll be kind of a first for me. It's a long one, a 2K swim, and then a 90K bike ride. So 90 kilometers on the road on the time trial bike. Yeah, with the ugly swoosh helmet and everything. Yep.
Oh yeah, on the time trial bike. So if it is an Idiots Go Running show. So the time trial bike is kind of the seats sitting up high and you're down low, and it's a really awkward position, isn't it?
Essentially making yourself as aerodynamic as possible, like a prawn in lycra is how I would describe it. But lots of like of shared technology actually with some of the running stuff. Yeah. A lot of the kit, like the materials and things like that, are crossing over now and then. It's part of a triathlon. There is a triathlon associated, and the same deal. All the gear nerds will be out in full force with the shoes and the running socks, and there'll be millions of dollars worth of kit from thousands of amateurs running around. So that'll be a fun one. And then planning a trip to Europe next year to kind of run and swim and bike my way around. Drink the place dry, eat lots of pasta, see what happens. But I'm going through a real bike phase at the moment.
Yeah. So you've just taken my next question away, but I'll jump onto this time trial bike. Do you have a time trial bike? Because I've seen on your Instagram you do, because them bikes, they look class. And with me, I used to work in chain reaction cycles and in the bike industry, so I used to design these bikes. So the time trial bikes, there's a lot of space and a lot of nice graphics on it. Do you love the look of your time trial bike more than suppose riding on it?
Yes. It's the short version. Because I'm sort of entering it, I went and bought a second-hand one. So the style at the moment is very sort of neutral, lots of whites and blacks and champagnes and things like that. And I've gone with something which looks like the 80s threw up on it. It's got the blue, it's got the green, it's got reflective strips.
Oh yeah,
you won't miss me coming, that's for sure. But I think if I stick with it, or maybe you'll find my body in a ditch. Who knows? But if I stick with it, I'll probably upgrade to something with a slightly a fancy paint job and maybe a little bit more modern technology. But yeah, she'll do for now.
It'll do for now, because do you know what? It is all about the looks and your kit. Does your kit match your bike, or are you going as a complete?
I'm gonna look I'm your classic tie-dye t-shirt on a bicycle, because I choose everything in my life based on bright colors and patterns and things like that. But I look at all of them in isolation, and then you kind of mash them all together, and I'm like a fruit salad. You'll see me coming.
Do you know what? That's a good way to be, because that works. Because people used to say this about when I'm designing stuff and when I'm doing stuff. I said, if you like everything you buy, it's all going to fit together. If you like everything, it's all going to fit together. I don't care if the colors clash or people think they all have to be one pastel tones. I'm like going, well, I like that. I like that. I like that. You put it all together. How can it not fit? So that's your kind of ethos.
That's the vibe. And you know what? Life is too short not to wear a Hawaiian shirt. Everyone else has black and grey already covered.
Yeah. And you don't want to fit in. You want to stand out, Or I suppose we're at the stage where we spoke about your next event, okay? And I've heard this question from Andrew, so he's going to ask you a question. And potentially this could suit you right down to the ground. Here's Andrew's question. Good luck.
If there was a fourth event to be added to the triathlon, which obviously it would be called then a four-athlon, I think it should be the egg and spoon race. Now here in Northern Ireland, the egg and spoon race is very, very famous among primary school kids. It does what it says in the tin. You have a spoon with an egg at the end of it, and you just run, and you can't let the egg fall off the spoon. For the last mile, an egg and spoon race. Tell me, how do you think you would get on in such a race? And do you think there should be like 3 chances, so you have 3 eggs in case the first one falls? I would love to know your thoughts on my four-athlon.
I love the four-athlon. I actually do another sport which has 4 disciplines, but the 4th sport is kayaking, so no eggs are broken. I love it. I think having it at the end is the critical component, because everybody's at the end of their tether, so it's a real test of nerve and who wants to win the most, really? Like, you're not fresh. You are at the end. I'm a horrific cheat when it comes to the egg and spoon race, because I've got really big hands, so I kind of grip the egg with the thumb a little bit. I think it would suit me as a slower runner, because you need to be smooth, right? What's the rule? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So I'm all in for it. I'm good. And only 1 egg. We go big or go home. 1 egg.
DNF if you drop your egg.
Absolutely. Everything else wasted. Train for the egg.
Wow.
Yeah. Ruthless.
Pressure. I love it. That is an incredible answer. Like, we've had some answers on the show, but it's just the passion you brought to that answer, Kat. That was amazing.
Very decisive.
I am so impressed. And I don't know if Australia 100%. Has a president, but you should be president.
We have a prime minister, and I would love to be over there telling them what to do. Australians don't take themselves too seriously. I think that, we've got some really dubious ideas from some of our politicians. It can't be weirder than that. I'd have to get the same warning, though, in speaking that you gave me, making sure my language was okay. I'd have to have someone follow me around and make sure I didn't slip up.
Just some sort of, people have said to me, I can say the wrong thing sometimes. Nothing too bad. Just I can say stuff that people kind of should keep in sometimes. And someone has once told me we should get a muzzle that could filter what you say. And I thought, do you know what? If someone was to invent that, I would probably be in a better job, earning more money, and more people might like me.
My problem with it, as we worked out during the COVID mask era, is that if my mouth doesn't say it, my face still will. So the muzzle would have to be just a whole bag.
a whole bodysuit, and even mittens, so your fingers can't show any symbols.
Absolutely. Yep. Just like when you're a kid, when you get in the sleeping bag, that's all I could have.
You have ran events. Are all your events in Australia? Are they Europe? Have you done events in America and other places?
I've done quite a few global events. Actually, I've been fortunate enough to combine my passion for traveling and my passion for sport. Sorry to the listeners of the show who care about running. Not all my events should have running in them. Some of them weren't supposed to have running and did. I did a bike race in Canada once that was 8 days long, and I'm pretty sure I spent more time carrying my bike than riding my bike. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Mistakes were made. It was, again, my ethos of how hard can it be? Turns out it can be quite hard. I've been fortunate enough to race kayaks in North America and the South Pacific and Mauritius off the coast of Africa. I've raced bikes in New Zealand and Australia and Canada. Haven't done a race in Europe yet, so that's next year's project. I've been Googling away to see what I can get involved in. There's a couple of races around that could be a laugh, and then someone's got to come last. It might as well be me.
just propping up the field. That's an amazing story. That's some journey. I looking at your stuff and knowing you, because we've all obviously connected through Facebook and through a Facebook group. I didn't realize you'd been in so many places. What's your favorite race that you've done?
Favorite race. The one that I'm the most proud of is that 8-day mountain bike race in Canada, because I had no business being there from a skill perspective. And I thought, well, stubbornness and fitness will get me through it. But every day I cried and quit and had panic attacks, and it was so far out of my comfort zone. I didn't think I was going to finish, and I spent 8 days, sort of getting increasingly stubborn. I'm going to finish or I'm going to die, one or the other. And I got to the finish line. So that's the one I'm the most proud of. But if you ask me, would I go and do it again? Absolutely not. No way. No.
No,
No way.
You did. You literally left it all. You've left it all out there. I did. There. There's nothing.
I made the most of that lifetime experience. But the ones that I've sort of had the most fun at really have been the ones which are, there's a real, a lot of the sports I do, you're lucky enough to have people right down from the pros, right down to the guy that lost a bet and he's doing the whole thing in fairy wings. And I've enjoyed those ones the most. We had one the one in Mauritius. Actually, there was a race, but there was a whole week of paddling built around the race. So for 6 days, you were making new friends and faffing around in a tropical lagoon and eating lots of good food. And then for a couple of hours, you were all racing, and then back to the beach for some beers and a good time. And it's those ones where you get to meet all those people from around the world and spend the time, and it's not just about the race, I think.
Oh, I completely agree. And I've said it so many times, I love racing and I love being able to be fit and fast and just do races and feel good. But see, the people you come across, some of them are just mental. There's people I've met and people who I've chatted to and people who they nearly sometimes would slow you up in a race because they just every corner they want to take a photograph of you or want to get in a photograph or want to get a selfie or get a selfie of this group and you're in the middle of a race and he's a photographer organizing people and getting the right shot in the right background and you do meet a lot of wonderful people and the way they spur people on and the camaraderie. But is there anyone you've met that just sticks in your mind?
Oh, there's a few, I think. In the paddling scene, we had a guy who he was continuing to race at the age of 82. And his position was, yep, I'm just going to keep going until I absolutely cannot. And he wasn't fast and he wasn't winning. And he was just there for the love of the sport. And just that really pure, I'm doing this because it's the thing that gives me the most joy in life, regardless of what the race looks like. And then I've had people in races where, I'm going through my own challenges and feeling a bit sorry for myself for whatever reason, health challenges or injuries or whatever. And you can look over and there can be someone that's visibly going through so much more than you are. And it's very humbling, but also motivating, I find, because you're like, no, you know what? We're all out here fighting stuff that everyone else knows nothing about. And so there's a few people that I've met through these races where, I've got tired legs. He's missing one. Stop complaining. So, that kind of stuff, that sticks with you long after your sore legs have gone.
Anything else you want to bring to the show? Anything else you want to say?
Well, look, I don't think I've talked about running at all. I've sort of brought the idiots to Idiots Go Running, really. But it's been, I think the beauty of where we are now is the ability to make connections like this from the other side of the planet and share all these little niche interests and stories and life lessons and crazy ideas. And, we're so enabled now to just be as passionate as we want to about the things we're passionate about. And I think that's gorgeous. So I'm grateful to be able to come on and tell a little bit about what I've been up to. And I hope any viewers that have dumb ideas, particularly European dumb ideas, 2025 open season. I'll give most things a go once. Don't say Ironman, but look, if it's got kayaks or bikes or running or some combination, let Colin know.
Or an egg and spoon race.
Especially an egg and spoon race. I want Andrew sorted out for when I get there. I'll set aside a day and I'll drag the husband along, and we'll have a proper competition there.
All day long, we're up for that. Kat, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show and the way you've spoke about. And if anybody is looking to get in touch with you or follow you or ask you to come to an event in Europe, how would they get into contact with you?
Instagram, the best way. I'm paddle cat, so that's paddle_cat. My grid is just a giant vomit of color and silly escapades. So at least 3 people find it entertaining. That's the best way to get hold of me.
Yeah, well, I love it. I find it entertaining because when I'm looking out my window, Kat, it's grey skies here in Ireland. When I look at your Instagram, it's blue skies and nice water and kayaks. And your toes are coloured the same as the skies, which I love.
Yeah, I promise to always bring the blue. How's that?
All day long. Kat, thank you so much for coming on the show. Have you enjoyed it?
I have had a blast. I do like the submission of weird questions. I think you should expand that out to the audience, not just to Andrew. That's fun.
Oh, right. There's an idea. Thank you so much today for coming on the show.
Thanks, Cole.